All right, everybody, how are we doing this evening? Check into the stream. Comment how you guys are doing on this Sunday evening here, July 10th, 2022. It's currently 5 minutes past 8 p.m. If you guys are watching this stream after the fact, after it's posted, leave a comment below and let me know how your weekend went. Let me know where you guys are watching from in the stream. I haven't done a Sunday stream in a while. I've been playing softball, but we don't have any softball today, so I'm going to provide a war update. And we've been covering this war since the beginning. This is day 137 covering the war in Ukraine. 137 days into the invasion and 8 years plus a little over, or 8 years plus 139 days now, because the Maidan revolution ended like 2 days before. 8 years almost to the day of the invasion. Wild. I think that Russia might have had some planning with that. But let me know how you guys are doing. Let me know where you guys are watching from. We got Australia and Queensland tuned in. Hello from Europe. We got Europe tuned in. Hello, Fresno, California. We're going to let this stream get out there. Hit that share button on Facebook. Share the stream to your friend. Share it to your timeline. Share it to a group on YouTube. Share the stream to a friend if you want to. Share button's a little easier on Facebook than it is YouTube. Facebook's more built for that. But if you guys could drop a like on the video, that would certainly help significantly. Hit the like button, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and yeah. So I'm gonna be including a mini world news update along with this Ukraine war update. You can find that in the description of our video, and I cover as much as I can, touching on the highlights of what's going on around the world outside of Ukraine, because we really do a deep dive into everything going on within the country, in terms of the territorial gains and losses, advances from the Russian military, counteroffensives by the Ukrainian military, partisan warfare. We're going to talk about what's going on in the occupied territories within Russia, within Ukraine, and the Russian-held cities in Ukraine. We're going to talk about Russian-backed occupation authorities that have stated that the Kharkiv Oblast is an inalienable part of Russian land. That's the same things that they were said about in the Donbas, about Donetsk and Lugansk and Crimean Peninsula. So the Russians are going to be looking to annex, or try to annex, the Kharkiv Oblast. And I'll show you guys where that is on the map, and I'll show you the latest on the ground situation there in terms of where the Russians are and where the Ukrainians are, and see if that's a plausible request or a plausible intention by the Russian military of taking the Kharkiv Oblast. Right now, to me, it doesn't seem plausible at this time within the war. Neither does the certain cities in the southern axes, and we'll talk about that. All right. So let's get into the mini world news update. Again, if you want to follow along in the description of our video on this live stream, we are live on Facebook and YouTube. If you want to follow along here, you can just click the description button and read. Mini world news update for July 10th, 2022. Sri Lanka's Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has agreed to resign after parliamentary leaders demanded both he and embattled president step down on day protesters stormed the president's residence and office. Elon Musk won't be buying Twitter after all. As reported by Bloomberg's Ed Ludlow, Musk is terminating his agreement to purchase the social media giant based on a new filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission. In response to the deal's cancellation, Twitter is suing Musk. In a tweet shortly after the news, Twitter chairman Brett Taylor wrote, quote, "The Twitter board is committed to closing the transaction on the price and terms agreed upon with Mr. Musk and plans to pursue legal action to enforce the merger agreement. We are confident we will prevail in the Delaware Court of Chancery." All right, so that's the latest with Elon Musk. He's pulling out. He pulled out of the Twitter deal and is not going to be buying Twitter, and now Twitter is going to be suing him for pulling out of the deal. A wildfire threatening the largest grove of giant sequoias in Yosemite National Park more than doubled in size in a day. Firefighters were working on Sunday to protect the iconic trees in small mountain town. President Biden took office looking to reshape U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East. So far, he's struggled to separate his approach from former President Donald Trump. Biden will visit the region this week with trips to Israel and Saudi Arabia. The U.S. Army has suspended a former top spokesperson from consulting position and put him under investigation after he posted a tweet appearing to mock Jill Biden over a recent comment by the First Lady on the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. "Glad to see you finally know what a woman is," quoted Volesky responded, according to USA Today, which has first reported the story. The tweet has since been deleted. First Amendment advocates are considering their options in response to an Arizona law signed last week making it a crime to video record police officers from closer than 8 feet away. The law, which was signed on Wednesday by Arizona Governor Doug Ducey, states that people can be charged with a misdemeanor if they record police from less than 8 feet away after getting a verbal warning, as they are conducting law enforcement activity like arrests, questioning suspicious individuals, and handling those who are emotionally disturbed. So if you're in Arizona, you can't be within 8 feet of a cop recording them. After you get a warning, you can be subject to arrest. You gotta be further than 8 feet in Arizona to record the police. And that is the latest update. That is what's going on in the world. And if you want to read that again, you can find that in the description of our video. Now we're going to be getting into the latest within the Ukraine war. And also, if you guys are interested, after the live streams are posted, so this is the next day, what we go into, we have a map breakdown, and I'm going to be doing that live here with you guys. But if you want to watch a condensed version, or if you're watching the stream after the fact, after it's posted, about 2 p.m. the next day, so it's Sunday, so 2 p.m. tomorrow, Central Time, my time, there will be an edited, summarized map breakdown video, and we've been posting those in between these live streams for about the last week now. So if you're interested in this next section, which this live stream structure is, I do the mini world news update, which we just did if you're new to the stream, and then we do the map breakdown showing territorial gains and losses from Ukraine and Russia within the war, and then we go through all the latest combat footage and clips within the last 24 hours or day, all the latest clips, and we don't go back beyond it unless it's described in the clip that it's an older clip or like a newly surfaced clip from the past. That's the sources that we use for these clips, and combat footage have been good about letting the viewers know about that, or letting those that are consuming that know that, hey, this is old, or this is when this happened. So that's what we'll do after that. And then also we'll just hit some news stories that have come out of Ukraine within the last day or two, all right? So with that being said, let's get into it here. I'm your host, Mercado, independent journalist, U.S. Army veteran. Welcome to July 10th, 2022, day 137 of the war in Ukraine. I've been covering this war since day one, and here we are already in the month of July, in the beginning of the month of July. I originally didn't think this war was going to last this long, but now that we're here and we're at this place within the war, I feel that this is going to last some time. It's going to last quite some time. It's already lasted well over 8 years at this point. Realistically, it's realistically lasted over 8 years, but since the invasion, since the next phase of this war, it's been, 137 days. But it's gone much longer than that, and it's important to remember that. So let's start here. This is an update from yesterday, but I wanted to include it with today's update because it's such a huge statement to make, and we're going to go into today's update and see if it's realistic or not, and look at the territory and look at the map and see if this is reasonable. So, Russian-backed occupation authorities in the Kharkiv Oblast stated that Kharkiv is an inalienable part of Russian land, indicating that Kremlin likely intends to annex part or all of the Kharkiv Oblast. The Russian occupation government in Kharkiv Oblast unveiled a new flag for the occupation regime in the Kharkiv Oblast, containing the Russian imperial double-headed eagle and symbols from the 18th century Kharkiv coat of arms. The Russian occupation government stated that imagery in the flag is, quote, a symbol of the historical roots of Kharkiv Oblast and is an inalienable right of Russian land, indicating that the Kremlin seeks to annex portions of the Kharkiv Oblast to Russia and likely seek to capture all of the Kharkiv Oblast if it can. The Kharkiv Oblast occupation government's speed in establishing a civilian administration on July 6th and introducing martial law in occupied Kharkiv Oblast on July 8th further indicates that the Kremlin is aggressively pursuing the legitimization and consolidation of the Kharkiv Oblast occupation administration's power to support this broader territorial aim. The Kharkiv Oblast occupation government's explicit use of Imperial Russian imagery and rhetoric pointing clearly at annexation, rather than using imagery and rhetoric supporting the establishment of a People's Republic, reinforces the studies of war's prior assessment that the Kremlin has broader territorial aims than capturing Donetsk and Lugansk oblasts, or even holding southern Ukraine. And I think that I can agree with that as well, coming from the news reports. That, I mean, they want to clearly. Russia's original goal was to try to blitzkrieg Ukraine and take Kyiv as fast as possible, and that failed. Now it's to complete the encirclement of the Ukrainian cities in the east and capture that little cauldron and pocket of cities. And let's get into that real quick. I'll show you. Okay, can you hear me now? Can you guys hear me when I'm doing this? Have you not been able to hear me this whole stream? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Or was it just when I switched to the map? Was it just when I switched to the map? Okay. Oh god. Oh dear. We'll have to edit all that out. See, this is why it's important to watch the map updates. This is why you guys need to tune into the map summary videos in between the live streams, because now you're going to get to watch a clean version of this map update. All right, let's fix that. All right, now can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Okay, it's just the map. Like, what about this? What about here now? Okay. Now, okay. This is when I switched. Okay. Damn. All right, we're good here. Perfect. Okay, it's good to go. Damn, I was rolling too. When I get into this map section, it's tough for me to stop. I'm telling you, because I'm into it. All right, I'm going. Look at the guys are like, damn, you drawing all over the map. There's squiggles. There's X's here. All right, I should just start over, huh? All right, pretend none of that happened. Pretend none of that happened. Did you hear me Did you hear me read the report for Kharkiv? I'm dead. Did you guys hear me read the Kharkiv report at least? Damn. Yeah, I'll do it over. We'll start over. Okay, you heard me read the Kharkiv report. So, okay. That's okay. So, I was just talking about the Russia's goals and how that and how and I'm going to ask you guys if you feel if annexing the Kharkiv Oblast is realistic with their current goals. And all right, I'll just cancel all that. We're just gonna, you know what? I'm gonna start from here again, alright? We'll start from here, alright? Russian-backed occupation authorities in the Kharkiv Oblast stated that Kharkiv is an inalienable part of Russian land, indicating that the Kremlin likely intends to annex part or all of the Kharkiv Oblast. The Russian occupation government in Kharkiv Oblast unveiled a new flag for the occupation regime in the Kharkiv Oblast, containing the Russian imperial double-headed eagle and symbols from the 18th century Kharkiv coat of arms. The Kharkiv Oblast occupation government's explicit use of the imperial Russian imagery and rhetoric, pointing clearly at annexation rather than using imagery and rhetoric supporting the establishment of a, quote, People's Republic, reinforces the studies of war's prior assessment that the Kremlin has broader territorial aims than just capturing Donetsk and Lugansk oblasts or even holding southern Ukraine. All right, so now let's get into it here. And I went into the east, and I was just talking about the next cities that are due up for, you know, the Russian military to take them. And I was talking about how in the north, the Russians had controlled this territory, right? The Russians were up here, and their original aim at taking the entire country. And oh my goodness, they've adjusted their goals a couple times at every failure that they've reached, because the Russian military was up here. And they were up here, and they were around here, they were around here, and they were all in the blue, right? The light blue around here was all Russian. This was all Russian, right along the border. And further to the south, like right here. This was all Russian territory at one point. Until the Russians finally realized that they weren't going to be able to take Kyiv, or the capital of Ukraine, and had to reallocate their forces into the east. And all of their force generational capabilities and their main structural, you know what I mean, like their Rosgvarda troops, their National Guard, their main units, their top units, the private military contractors, the Wagner group, all were consolidated here into the east. They were all moved into the east, and that's what helped them take Severodonetsk and Lysychansk. That's why they were able to take these two cities so quickly at the end of June and into July. Right here. Russians were able to take these two cities, and they're working their way west, right? Now, and let's just go back up to here. Now, we'll get into the front update, and I'll redraw on the map again. And again, if you're watching this after the fact, or if you're watching a map breakdown video, I had gone into this and I lost my role. I didn't have any audio in the live stream, and I just got messed up. But here's the oblast that Russia said has aims to annex, similar to Donetsk and Lugansk, and some of the cities in the southern axes of Ukraine. And instead of establishing a People's Republic here, like currently in Lugansk and Donetsk, they want to integrate as much of this oblast into the Russian Federation and annex it. That would be up here. They have this territory near the border, which the Ukrainians are fighting over this territory. This is probably mostly speculation coming from Russian sources on the internet, more so than it is from, you know, on the ground reporting of this, because the Ukrainian military is fighting heavily over this region here. They're not It's a stronger fight for the Ukrainian military in taking and having serious goals to take this region back and take it away from the Russians. They've already taken some of it back here in the last week or so. The Russian military had extended into where I have the green here, and now it's in Ukrainian control. So as much as they have aims and goals of annexing the Kharkiv Oblast, I just don't see it happening, anytime soon right now, and unless the Russians can move their troops back up here into this oblast. But again, the Ukrainian counterattacks have been so successful, and the Russian military is currently having success in the Donbas, so I don't feel they would move their troops, at least right now. I feel that the Russian military is going to be moving their resources more up to here into Izium and Liman, and then also help in their goals of finishing off this part, the northern part of the Donetsk Oblast, including Advidka here, and we'll get into all the latest updates and help their force capabilities in this kind of southern pocket of this Donbas region, and reinforce their capabilities in Liman and Izium to advance on some of these Ukrainian cities. But beyond that, I don't think the Russian military has any capability of annexing any further territory beyond cities in the east right now. They're barely holding on to some of these cities in the south that they already have control over. Kherson, the Ukrainian military, is right on the outskirts of it. Right, they just need more heavy firepower. There's partisan warfare taking place here. There's resistance fighting going on in Kherson, resistance fighting going on in Novokhovka, and these are all Russian occupied cities here. Partisan warfare in Melitopol, right? Resistance fighting. Tokmak, so they're fighting the Russian occupation of these cities. Partisan warfare going on in Mariupol as well. They don't have a full, complete annexation policy of the cities that they do control at this time. And a lot of these cities that they are taking control of, they're completely destroying along the way. So let's get into it here now. Let's get into today's update now that I've kind of came back from my audio blunder on the live stream. And let's get into today's update. I wasn't live last night. It was just a long day yesterday, and I didn't see that update from Kharkiv. And actually, before we even do that, I got a video for y'all. And no videos during the map breakdown update, Larry, for the edits. Videos for live stream only, and then map breakdown for just the map. But let's get into an update from Kharkiv from the Associated Press. I have a video, as we haven't seen too much from Kharkiv beyond just the shellings that take place there. And this is an update from the Associated Press. Kharkiv under pressure as the fight continues. So this comes before, a day before the Russians had put out that they have aims and goals to annex the oblast. Thank you, Lynette. I see you. Company Commander Serko and his team are using a drone to aim American M777 howitzers.
Где этот стоял?
But their company suffered casualties while under artillery fire.
Выехать получается? Серко на связи. Выдвинул еще двоих.
This is Serko. I've sent 2 more people to you. They're on radio comms.
Принял. Двигаться очень опасно, работает птица. Возможно ли запросить огневую поддержку? Запрашиваю.
Саня, блядь, не отключайся, Сань! Саня! Бля, сознание потерял. Давай, быстрее, пацаны. Быстрее, пацаны. Забирайте. Саня. Сань, держись. Сань, держись. Саня, держись.
Сука.
Назад, назад. Саня, держись, пожалуйста.
Ручка, ручка. Не, там ручка.
Саня, держись. Есть что-нибудь на шатыре или что-нибудь, пацаны? Давай. Туда, дальше. Связи погрузили в скорую. Скорая забирает. Сознание потерял.
This is in the Saltivka neighborhood in Kharkiv, and look at the apartments here in this Kharkiv Oblast, and the city of Kharkiv has been shelled every single day since this invasion began. Sadly, some of the most viral strikes in Ukrainian residential areas and in Ukrainian cities have been from Kharkiv, Mariupol and Kharkiv. It was like second week. We were watching what was going on in Ukraine from the live streams, and just like one of their Fab 3000 or Fab 2000 bombs was dropped on one of their government buildings in Kharkiv.
Это правда. Это правда.
This is Viktor Shevchenko. His home was destroyed by Russian shelling.
Зайдешь, убьют. Вот так. А наши там не будут. Мой сын служит в армии. Если бы у них было много боеприпасов, Россию бы мы задавили. Потому что мы патриоты, мы живем на своей земле. Это теперь что стало с нашей квартирой? Смотрите, это Советского Союза часики.
So this is what happened to our flat, and this clock is from the Soviet Union.
Вот тут завод, и там лежит ключ. И они ходят. Они ходят.
While some towns and villages around the capital of Kyiv have begun rebuilding, other places cannot. That's what I'm saying. A lot of the cities that Ukraine still holds that are near the borders or near the front lines are still they're still very much like in early invasion times. It hasn't changed. The situation hasn't changed for them. Situation has changed for Kyiv in sense of the Russians they aren't on the exterior of the city anymore. They're not right on the outskirts of the city, but that doesn't mean that Kyiv and some of these other western cities aren't subject to Russian artillery strikes from their multiple launch rocket system trucks. All right, those western cities and including the capital are still under threat from Russian missile attacks. Not in the clear at all. Saltivka used to be home to about 500,000 people. Destroyed by shelling with no gas and no electricity, most of the apartment blocks in this part of the city are impossible to live in. I don't think any of the mainstream news or anybody's been able to really get over to Kharkiv in quite some time. I got one more. One more from Kharkiv, since we're on the city. Ukrainian footage appears to show missile strike in Kharkiv. This was posted today, July 10th. But the video's from July 9th. Here in the top left, I can see the date timestamp says 0709 at 10:01 a.m. This was in Kharkiv. 0709, so yesterday at 10 in the morning. This is in Kharkiv. Wounding 6 according to local officials. Wow.
Это Татьяна, она вот тут лежала. Ну, на соседка, я к ней заходил все время.
И девочка там еще была, скажите, 12 лет. Она спала вообще.
С ними все в порядке?
Все в порядке, уже ее вынесли, это самое.
For weeks, months. What's it? February? It's July now. Like almost, it'll be 5 months on the 24th. They haven't stopped shelling Kharkiv. An Iskander attack. What does it say? An Iskander rocket. Why do they stay there? Because it's their home. They live there. It's very unrealistic to like just pack up all your things and then go start fresh, especially in this day and age. And when you got your neighbor country like invading your country at the same time. Especially in some of these remote areas in Ukraine. They don't have direct access to a lot of resources that even the cities in Ukraine do, let alone what Western cities have. All right, so that's some updates going on in the Kharkiv Oblast. Let's get back into it here now. That's what's going on in the Kharkiv Oblast. Let's get into the latest update here now, July 10th, 2022, before we go into our full combat footage and recent video footage within the last 24 hours, and we'll go and see that. I just wanted to give an update, or let's see what the Russians were saying about annexing Kharkiv, and that was an update from yesterday, but I wasn't live yesterday, so I wasn't able to talk about it. And I feel that it's all words, and it's not they're not gonna hold any weight. The Kharkiv Oblast will continue to fight over the border, but the Russians just don't have enough to advance even into the current terrain that they do have. They're not able to advance any further in the north. We'll see what the latest update from today is and what the latest in the Kharkiv Oblast has to say. But in terms of annexing it, it's not realistic. Not like some of the cities in the east for Russia. So here, July 10th, 2022. Russian forces are in the midst of a theater-wide operational pause in Ukraine. This operational pause has been largely characterized by Russian troops regrouping to rest, refit, reconstitute, heavy artillery fire in critical areas to set conditions for future ground advances, and limiting probing attacks to identify Ukrainian weaknesses and structure appropriate tactical responses. An operational pause does not mean complete cessation of hostilities, rather that ongoing hostilities are more preparative in nature. All right, they're going to be putting some more thought into their advancements and what they're doing, kind of regrouping, getting fresh conscripts to the front lines, getting fresh equipment. We've just been reading over the past few weeks on how their frontline troops are just getting resent back to the front lines without proper equipment, without medical equipment to handle frontline injuries going on. They're sending injured soldiers back to the front lines, and so Russia is on an operational pause right now across Ukraine. If Ukraine had some more heavy weapons and we're getting a fresh shipment of heavy weapons during this time that could take advantage of this operational pause. We'll see if that is going to be a thing. Russian mill blogger Rebar provided more evidence of tensions between the Russian military command and Russian war correspondents. Russian war correspondents include journalists operating at the front lines and Russian mill bloggers commentating on information available in the open source and likely also drawn from friends in the military. Rebar noted that Russian military commanders responsible for wartime information operations are attempting to silence military mill bloggers and war correspondents to conceal the Russian military's blunders during the invasion of Ukraine. Their own supporters of what they're doing in the war, which, again, like, so these are pro-Russian mill bloggers. Like they're for the war, they're for what's going on, but they're not supportive of how the Russian military is done in Ukraine. Like they're at least being realistic with their failures, but to the point where now Russia's military leaders are going to have to start silencing these mill bloggers, despite these mill bloggers having like a giant following. They have tons of followers and subscribers on their social media accounts, doing social media updates, commentary. I mean, you guys, you're all in tune on YouTube, and you tune in and you see what some of the channels. It's just similar. It's just what the pro-Russian narrative and what's going on social media, and Russia's gonna have to start silencing them because they're being too real, because their critique is being realistic, at least in their Russia's failures, but that's not good for Russia's propaganda and Russia's narrative of what's going on in Ukraine, because again, their narrative is that they're destroying Ukraine and that they're winning in Ukraine. They're winning in the East. And that is where their propaganda is at its highest and where they have the most influence. That's where their sphere of influence in Ukraine goes round. And they are winning in the East. They are gaining territory and whatnot. So that is going to drive the majority of the conversation for those that are pro-Russia. But the mill bloggers are accessing, open source information. They're not going through the mainstream Russian channels for information. They're on Twitter, like doing what we're doing, but they're pro-war. They're like an inverse of what we're doing here, but they're pro-war, and they're at least seeing the realities and calling it out. And Russia doesn't like that. Rebar noted that Russian military commanders remain shaped by negative experiences during the Chechnya wars, when war correspondents exposed problems at the front line to the Kremlin and embarrassed Russian officers. Can't embarrass the Russian officers by being real. Listen, that's so wild. Even the pro-war, like they're for what Russia's doing, are being too honest about Russia's failures to the point where now Russia has to even silence them. What a mind F. Rebar stated that the Russian Defense Ministry and possible actors within the presidential administration are actively attempting to silence unofficial coverage of the Russian war in Ukraine. Rebar expressed support for a Telegram article by the Donetsk People's Republic Deputy Information Minister and mill blogger Danil Beznasov, and criticized the Kremlin's apparent effort to promote self-censorship among war correspondents. Rebar noted that the advisor to the Russian Defense Minister Andrei Litinsky called for such self-censorship on May 26th and had encouraged Russian war correspondents to report on the war only from ideological standpoint without getting into operational details. So basically just pounding propaganda, not giving the on-the-ground updates, like, just taking it elementary. Like, Russia has taken this amount of territory on this day. Ukraine has taken this territory. So that would be admitting losses, right? Because you don't want to admit losses, and that would force you to have to admit losses. Can't do that. So they've forced them to just report the war from an ideological standpoint, which sounds very familiar to certain other media, without getting into operational details, which is what you're going to get the information about. But with that being said, ideological standpoints, you're probably going to have more viewers for that. You're usually going to have entertainment attached with that when you're expressing ideologies. People are all over that for some reason. Well, not for some reason. It's what captures the majority of people's attention when you have someone spewing their ideology. And when I get caught up in that sometimes too, when I'm parroting or talking back at people in the trolls in the comments, and it's like I get caught up into how I feel sometimes too. But these places are only reporting their ideology, and many sources do that nowadays, and just report, you know, how their viewers will more openly receive information, or how you can control the informational flow because you're only parroting ideological standpoints and ideological points, and tapping into into the hopes of the people, you know what I mean? Not necessarily feeding them the correct information or the most up-to-date accurate information, because that would be admitting losses. Rebar speculated that presidential administration or other Russian officials ordered Zelenskyy to promote censorship among war correspondents who publish frontline updates in real time. That's why we're seeing less and less, even from the Russian side now. There was a period of time where it was just a lot of Russian even the training reports that we've been seeing are getting smaller and smaller. And now the Ukraine switched from having full transparency, having live streams up in the country, and just all the information getting put out there. They dialed back like a month or so ago on their information getting posted out there, and all the live cameras were cut. I mean, you can't in Ukraine, if you're then for civilian reporters and citizen journalists, they've cracked down on posting information within the first 24 hours or within the first few hours, so that way Russia can't fire and adjust their artillery. Because when you post that on social media, when you post like a happening on social media in real time, you know, the Russians are on there too. They were on there like, oh damn, okay, we missed, so we need to readjust our fire, because they could see whatever target was hit based upon the social media posts. And now Russia's starting to crack down on their censorship among the war correspondents, who are parroting mostly ideological standpoints. So they're only reporting on the war from on ideologies and narratives, and those that are pro-war, pro-Russia, you know, pro-invasion are starting to get cracked down, because they're being honest with their critiques on the Kremlin and embarrassment of these Russian officers online. Rebar noted that the relationship between the Russian military command and war correspondents particularly soured after Russian President Vladimir Putin met with war correspondents during the St. Petersburg Economic Forum on June 17th. Rebar claimed that two prominent war correspondents told Putin about the, quote, mess at the front lines during closed-door meeting, effectively bypassing the Russian Defense Ministry and presenting their negative views directly to the commander-in-chief. The event Rebar is describing likely occurred. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov announced on June 12th that Putin would hold a largely closed-door meeting with Russian war correspondents. They have a shitload of followers. They're social media influencers, if you will, for the war. Mill bloggers, just think influencers. Think whenever I say Russian mill bloggers, just think of pro-war social media influencers with a lot of followers. That's why Putin's even having conversations with these people. The United States does it too. They had TikTokers and people. Biden invited TikTokers to the White House a month or two ago. Social media. The event Rebar is describing likely occurred. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov announced on June 12th that Putin would hold a largely closed-door meeting with Russian war correspondents, and Russian propagandist Margarita Simonyan confirmed that Putin had a, quote, candid and long conversation with frontline journalists after the event. Rebar noted that Russian Defense Ministry began to identify war correspondents as a, quote, threat after this engagement, whereas it previously perceived them as a poorly controlled problem, because they weren't speaking out on the losses of Russia. They were just parroting the ideological standpoints and the propaganda points from Russia to advance the war effort. Now they're being too honest. Oh, can't have that. Putin likely held June 17th meeting to diffuse mill blogger discontent, which had become evident and dramatic after the disastrous failed river crossing attempt at Bilohorivka in mid-May. That was when the entire Russian military, there was this long convoy of military equipment was attempting to cross the river, and there was just a viral video of vehicles just scattered throughout the river, and there was like a tank. Like the Ukraine is having a field day with it. They like, this is how the Russians go snorkeling. Like they were roasting them, and Russia couldn't have that. Yeah, happened. That was about mid-May that video came out, or those videos from the river crossing. If that was his aim, he failed to win them over, as the mill bloggers have remained staunchly critical of the way Russian high command is waging the war ever since. But Putin may also have obtained a more unvarnished view of what is occurring on the front lines and what he is getting from the chain of command. The Russian information space would change significantly if the Ministry of Defense cracked down on the mill bloggers and stopped them from operational reporting. Most sources use mill bloggers and Russian war correspondents as sources of Russian claims on a daily basis, so the elimination of regular mill blogger operational reporting would affect a lot of the coverage, because a lot of the Russian side things are being so a lot of the sources and sourcing from Russian happenings on the ground in Ukraine are coming from these Russian mill bloggers, which is wild because, again, they're pro-war, they're pro-Russian narrative, but that's the only way you're going to get what's happening out of Russia. You're not going to get it realistically from the West, and they're not going to, or Ukraine's sourcing isn't going to be 100% completely honest on what the Russian military is doing. So these mill bloggers, despite them being pro-war, pro-Kremlin, not pro-Kremlin now, but pro-narrative of what Russia's doing, cracking down on even these mill bloggers is going to hurt the overall 360 information that we are able to achieve right now. It's all open source information, because Russia's media, hell no, you're not getting the information from Russia Today or any Russian source. Absolutely not. Western sources, you're usually just going to get Ukraine side things. You're going to get Ukraine news stories and Ukraine happenings. You're not going to get too many Russian news unless it's like a big happening, like Russia taking Severodonetsk or Lysychansk. That's when you'll get like Russia updates from Western sources. You won't get like on the ground updates that was coming from these pro-Russian sources, ironically. And now Russia's going to start cracking down on them because they're being too honest with Russia's losses as much as they are with their wins and their ideological points of view. Russian mill bloggers are increasingly criticizing Russian strategy and military leadership by seizing upon recent successful Ukrainian strikes against Russian rear areas. Russian mill blogger Volesky undermined the threat posed by Western-provided high-mobility artillery rocket system and stated that the HIMARS will complicate Russian logistics in a Telegram post. So even these Russian mill bloggers and these pro-Russian war, these pro-Russian ideological content creators were being honest in how these HIMARS systems are causing significant issues to Russian logistics. These HIMARS systems were the best thing Ukraine has received as of late. They need more of them, right? And the mill bloggers are being honest with that online and reporting that fact, and Russia can't have that. They're gonna crack down on even their own propagandists. They're pro-war propagandists because they're being too honest with the losses within Russia or within Ukraine from the Russian military standpoint. Volesky cautioned that Russian air defense may be increasingly insufficient against Ukrainian strikes and called on Russian forces to improve coordination between intelligence and aviation in order to identify and target Western-provided weapon systems. Another mill blogger with a small following, which is Nam Pashut is Yanini, complained that Russian military leadership is proving unable to defend against Western weapons being used against Russian positions. Igor Girkin, a Russian nationalist who has previously commanded militants during operations in Donbas in 2014, so he has had some operational command for the DNR separatists, discussed recent Ukrainian strikes against Russian rear areas and criticized Russian troops for not targeting Ukrainian ground lines of communications along which HIMARS and other Western weapons are delivered. Girkin suggested that the ongoing operational pause is exposing easily exploitable Russian vulnerabilities and called for Russian troops to start fighting in full force again. Girkin and other mill bloggers are likely to continue voicing their discontent with Russian military leadership as Ukrainian capabilities are strengthened by Western weaponry and equipment. I just said that. I just said that before we even went into that. If Ukraine can take advantage of this operational pause, that would help significantly in the southern axes in Ukraine, especially in their advance into Kherson. If they were able to just take Kherson and clear out all of the Kharkiv Oblast up to the border, that would stress out the Kremlin like you wouldn't believe, because that would help them now push even further towards the east. Right now, Ukraine doesn't have a realistic goal of taking back cities in the east. They just don't have enough. They just don't have enough to start taking back territory in the east. But the territories that they can right now is Kherson and the Kharkiv Oblast. If the Ukrainians can get more HIMARS systems, like honestly, send them more HIMARS. That's what they need. The HIMARS systems, even the pro-Russian propagandists, social media content creators are being to the point where, holy shit, these HIMARS are complicating Russian logistics in a serious way, and they're trying to get the propagandists for the Russian side are trying to get the Kremlin's attention to it because they want the Kremlin to win. They want Russia to win, so they're being too honest, because now Western sources and Ukraine side are seeing that. They're like, oh damn, the HIMARS are effective. Even the Russian side propagandists are admitting that. Russia can't have that. Kremlin cannot have that. They're going to start cracking down on that, which is going to affect the coverage overall from everyone that is interested in trying to give an honest perspective or not an honest overview of what's going on within Ukraine. It's going to make it hard because the pro-Russian social media content creators are going to start getting censored and start getting their accounts taken away. I was said that last week. How are these guys not in the gulag yet? Anybody just regular, if you're a regular Russian citizen, which we've seen from the 1420 YouTube channel, shout out to 1420, please go check them out if you haven't. That 1420 channel shows you how much self-censorship there is in Russia, and how even just regular everyday people are scared of criticizing the Kremlin or scared of criticizing Vladimir Putin, and they'll talk in code almost to be able to say what they need to say, which is wild. We don't have that here in the United States. People can voice what they want on social media and in real life, in person. Okay, now let's get into each individual front. So that's just an update going on with the mill bloggers and some of the information dissenting going on within Ukraine. All right, and during this operational pause that Russia is going through, I hope that Ukraine receives more HIMARS systems. There's got to be people in the high command in the United States that's like, yo, these HIMARS systems, let's just send Ukraine those. They don't need to, like, they're highly effective pieces of equipment going on. So let's get into the map. I'll show you guys some of these map features here. So the red on the map is assessed Russian advance. So that's all to the east, to the north, and to the south of Ukraine. You got the three areas of frontline happenings that are still going on at this point in the war. That is the southern axes of Ukraine, Donbas / the east, and the Kharkiv Oblast in the international border with Russia and Belgorod. These are the three main areas of war taking place beyond the missile strikes and multiple launch rocket strikes in Kyiv and other western cities that happen from time to time, including Odessa. Okay, that still is a thing that is still ongoing. There was just a strike in Kyiv last week or a week and a half ago. Right? There's a strike in Odessa, which isn't on the front line, or it's not a frontline city, not anywhere near ground fighting, but it's still subject to artillery strikes. These three areas are just where the ongoing ground battles are taking place, like soldiers fighting, territory changes. These are the main three, and that would be the southern axes, Donbas / the east, and then the Kharkiv Oblast. The main effort is eastern Ukraine, comprised of one subordinate and three supporting efforts. The subordinate main effort is the encirclement of Ukrainian troops in the cauldron between Izium and the Donetsk and Lugansk oblasts. Supporting effort number 1 is Kharkiv city. Supporting effort number 2 is the southern axes. We're going to talk about the mobilization and force generation efforts, and then finish up with activities in the Russian occupied areas and go into the latest in those cities. So the first is the subordinate main effort, which is southern Kharkiv, Donetsk, Lugansk oblasts. The Russian objective here is to encircle the Ukrainian forces in eastern Ukraine and capture the entirety of Donetsk and Lugansk oblasts, which is the claimed territory of Russia's proxies in Donbas. So the first region we're talking about out of those three is going to be here. Okay, this is the first one. And then after this, we talk about Kharkiv, and then we'll finish up with the southern axes. Let's zoom in. Zoom in noises. Okay, now I'm gonna quickly, or as best as I can, highlight the main Russian controlled cities in this region. So that'd be Izium, you got Lyman, Lysychansk, Severodonetsk, oh, Lugansk, and then we can do Popaz, and it hasn't been mentioned in quite some time. These are the main cities. And you got Donetsk slightly off the map. You got Donetsk over here. I'll just draw an arrow. Right, Donetsk is down there. And those are the main Russian-controlled cities here in the Donbas. Okay, and I'll draw some more arrows to show the advance from these cities. Those are some thick arrows. Okay, and they're moving west. Lyman. Using the E40 highway. I'm also going to highlight Kreminna. There's partisan warfare taking place there, but the Russians are advancing from there, the TikTok army. The Chechens are up in this region where I'm drawing right now. Kadyrov unit. They're north of Seversk at this time. Now, I'm going to hide. So these are all the main Russian held cities in this region in which things happen on a daily basis or updates come out. If there's an update from today, I will highlight that city if I need to. And here's the main Ukrainian held cities in blue. You got Seversk, Bakhmut, Kramatorsk, Sloviansk. Those are the main four right now. There's a few other cities along this line, but there hasn't been any news updates about them, so I'm going to keep them not highlighted for now, just to keep minimal clutter off of the map and keep it easier to see. Purple is the main ground lines of communication / supply lines that both the Russians and Ukrainians are using, depending on if it's inside of their territory or not. Okay, that is the E40 highway. Got the E40 highway here. Oops. I don't know if I can move that. All right, let me redo that. I got a new text tool here. Nope. There you go. Can you read that? E40 highway. Oh, that's way too thick of a arrow. E40 highway here. And then we'll do the T1302 highway. The other main ground line of communication that's being used. Way too small. T1302 highway, and still I don't like that. There we go. T1302 highway here. Hoping that's way easier to read. Let me know in chat or in the comments after if that's visible for y'all and way easier to read. So these are ground lines of communication here that the Ukrainian military and the Russian military are using. And that is the main. Now I'll do a key just for the east, and this will carry over into the Kharkiv Oblast and the Southern Axis update. Okay, little map key. Red is Russia. Blue is Ukraine. Okay, and then this is road. Road/ground line of communication. All right, supply line. Those are your main, those are your key right here. Ukraine cities, Russian cities, road, ground line of communication. And if you want to watch this map update in a nice summarized, edited video, you guys make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. That video will be posted at 2 p.m. in between each live stream. If you guys want to watch me draw on this thing live, then tune into the streams. So here we go. Russian forces conducted limited probing operations northwest of Sloviansk near the Kharkiv-Donetsk Oblast border on July 10th. The Ukrainian General Staff reported that Russian troops conducted unsuccessful reconnaissance in-force operations in Dolnya and Manzivka, both within 20 kilometers northwest of Sloviansk. Russian forces also conducted artillery strikes southeast of Izium and around Barenkov. The United Kingdom Ministry of Defense stated that Russian forces are concentrating artillery fire along the E40 Izium-Sloviansk highway to secure ground lines of communication through the Donetsk Oblast. So we're talking about that. Talking about in here. Talking about in that region. Limited probing operations. Okay, no territorial gains. Russian forces continue to conduct artillery strikes near Seversk on July 10th, but attempted no ground assaults in this area. The Ukrainian General Staff reported that Russian forces are concentrating troops in the Bilohorivka area, likely to consolidate control of the Lugansk Oblast border and prepare for westward advances. Russian forces shelled Hirivka, Venomaransky, Shubranka, Bilohorivka, Perenzin, Vimka, and Ivano Darivka, in addition to Seversk. So that is over here. And here is Seversk. That much smaller. Make our green marking smaller. And again, green is just reflective upon the region I am referencing in this update. Russian forces intensified artillery and missile strikes west of Bakhmut. Let's go to Bakhmut. So here's Bakhmut. Here's to the west of it. But did not conduct any confirmed ground attacks near Bakhmut on July 10th. Russian forces conducted a missile strike against a residential city area of Chasiv Yar, 10 kilometers directly west of Bakhmut, along the T0504 highway. Russian forces have previously shelled a railway station in Chasiv Yar on July 9th, suggesting that they are targeting transportation infrastructure around Bakhmut. The Ukrainian General Staff reported that Russian forces also shelled Kryvyi-Rivka and Shumy, both within 25 kilometers southwest of Bakhmut, near critical roadways into the city. Russian forces likely seek to isolate Bakhmut from Ukrainian ground lines of communication to the west and south, supporting their ongoing effort to interdict Ukrainian lines of communication along the Bakhmut portion of the E40 highway. Russian forces conducted a limited ground attack north of Donetsk city on July 10th. The Ukrainian General Staff reported that Russian troops attempted to improve their tactical position on Novoselivka Druha, about 25 kilometers due north of Donetsk city. Russian forces continued to fire along the line of contact in the Advidka Donetsk city area. That's from over here. That's from down in this region. That is your update from the east. So limited probing operations northwest of Sloviansk here. Okay, limited probing operations in this region. No territorial gains or losses. Let me clear the green. Sloviansk probing operations in here. Okay. In Seversk, artillery strikes. Artillery strikes in Seversk and the outskirts and villages around it. Concentrating troops in the Bilohorivka area. Okay, no territorial gains or losses in Seversk, in and around Seversk. The intensified missile strikes west of Bakhmut, but didn't confirm any ground attacks. So just missile strikes to the west of Bakhmut, but no territorial gains or losses from Russia or Ukraine here. Okay, that is what's going on in the east. No territory gains or losses. Russia's on an operational pause. That is what's going on. There's just showing you the advancement or the before the operational pause where the Russians were advancing upon. The Ukrainians were retreating. They were retreating away from Seversk. I'm assuming that is continuing. They were retreating from Lysychansk to Seversk, and now likely going along that T0513 highway to Bakhmut to get out of there. They were retreating from that region about a week ago. That's what's going on in the east. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, provide any commentary you have in the comments below. Let's get to the Kharkiv Oblast. Highlight some of the main areas here quick before we get into the report. Here is the Ukrainian controlled city of Kharkiv in Ukraine. Belgorod is in Russia. Main ground line of communication is the E105 highway. This is the E105. Oops. And let's get into it. Those are the main three happenings in the east here. Is they got the ground line of communication that both Ukraine and Russia are shelling to prevent any advancement from either side. And also we have the T2117. The T2117 as well, which advances into Zolochiv. Let's mark that quick. Oops. T2117. These two ground lines of communication. Supply lines. Then I'll do a small circle around Zolochiv. Okay. Ukrainian held city. Let's get the update. Supporting effort number 1, Kharkiv City. Russian objective, defend ground lines of communication to Izium and prevent Ukrainian forces from reaching the Russian border. Russian forces did not conduct any ground assaults north of Kharkiv City on July 10th, instead continuing air artillery and missile strikes on Kharkiv City and the surrounding settlements. The Ukrainian General Staff reported that Russian forces continue to focus on restraining Ukrainian assaults of the front line. And so nothing really to report from the Kharkiv Oblast. No ground assaults. Missile strikes on Kharkiv City from Russia. Russian forces focusing on restraining Ukrainian counterattacks along this front line. Nothing to report beyond that. Let's get to the southern axes within Ukraine. Mykolaiv, Kherson, Melitopol, Mariupol, Berdyansk, Zaporizhia, Dnipro. Start with the Ukrainian-controlled cities in the south. Mykolaiv, Kryvyi Rih, Zaporizhia. Make myself a little smaller there. And then we'll do the Russian-controlled cities on the southern axis. Kherson, make it a little thicker. A little thicker. Kherson, Melitopol, Berdyansk, Mariupol. Those are the main three. And then the main ground line of communication here, which is the E58. And it goes all the way into Russia, and that is the E58 highway. Come on. Oops. Come on. E58 highway, ground line of communication, that the Russians only are using right now to transport equipment from Russia into Ukraine and vice versa. And moving their supplies, their fresh vehicles, fresh troops along this roadway from east to west. Then I'll also draw some of the Ukrainian counterattacks where they're advancing from. Okay, let's get into it. Supporting effort number 2, Southern Axis, Russian objective, defend Kherson and Zaporizhia oblasts against Ukrainian counterattacks. Russian forces conducted air, artillery, and missile strikes along the Southern Axis on July 10th. Russian forces shelled points in the northwestern Kherson Oblast and eastern Mykolaiv Oblast and conducted Ka-52 helicopter strikes on Plotonatsky, a small settlement in Kherson Oblast near Davdiv Brid. Russian forces also hit the Kryvyi Rih region with Kaliber missiles. So right now, we're talking about this region in the green. Okay, this region right here circled in the green. Ukraine's Southern Operational Command notably stated that Russian forces conducted a massive missile strike with S-300 anti-aircraft missiles on ground targets in Mykolaiv and Kherson Oblasts. The use of anti-aircraft missiles in such a manner is inefficient, and such missiles carry small payloads and are optimized for destroying fragile aircraft in flight rather than ground targets. Reported Russian use of S-300 missiles in ground attack role is also notable because of reports and indications that the Russians are having difficulty defending against Ukrainian manned air operations and missile strikes in the southern Axis area. They need more. They need more HIMARS systems, especially during this operational pause. The Russians have minimal, the Russians have minimal force capabilities down here. They've been focusing on annexing these cities and starting to implement governmental control, more so than keeping them defended. They've had to move some of their soldiers along the E58 towards Kherson to defend the city now, and they're more in a defensive position. The Russians are in more of a defensive position in Kherson than they were in more of a, we're annexing the city and we're Russifying it now than they were, because the Ukrainians are just in the outskirts of it. But if the Ukrainians could get more manned air operations and conduct more missile strikes on these Russian-controlled regions, they can start advancing their ground forces and start taking back some of these territories and have more effective claiming a more effective claimed Ukrainian counteroffensives in the region. The decisions to use the S-300 missiles in this role in these circumstances may indicate that Russia is running out of surface-to-surface missiles, or that it is running low on parts needed for the missiles' air-to-air guidance or communications systems. So that's what's going on in the southern axes. No territorial gains or losses within the region. Nothing has changed, just ongoing battles along this Inhluets River on the western side of Ukraine. You had ongoing fighting going on the excuse me. You had active fighting going on the Seversky Donetsk River on the eastern side in the Donbas, and here on the east you have fighting going on the east and west bank of the Inhlwets River going on north of Kherson, which is reaching the Kryvyi Rih border as well. But beyond that, no territory gains or losses in the region. All right. Now let's get into an update on the force generation capabilities and the territories that Russia controls at this time. Mobilization and force generation efforts. Russian objective: expand combat power without conducting general mobilization. Russian military leadership continued to intensify recruit measures to support force generation efforts on July 10th. Ukraine's main intelligence directorate reported that private military companies, PMCs, are escalating recruitment drives to compensate for personnel losses among conventional forces fighting within Ukraine. The GUR noted that PMCs are actively recruiting prisoners due to lack of other volunteers, which is consistent with previous reporting that the Wagner Group PMC has been recruiting prisoners out of the IK-7 Yablonivka and the IK-6 Obbukovo penal colonies in St. Petersburg. So the Wagner PMCs have been recruiting prisoners out of Russian penal colonies to fight for Russia. The GUR claimed that the PMCs are recruiting prisoners irrespective of the nature of their crimes in exchange for full amnesty after serving time on the front line. So you fight for exchange of your prison sentence. Go to war, go to jail. Governor of Russia's, but not for Russia, for a private military company, for a PMC. Listen, there's a lot of commentary of this in a video game called Metal Gear Solid 4, which will be playing on our gaming channel soon if you guys are interested. And they go into the dialogue around private military companies. And in the game, the private military companies have kind of taken over the world, and war is just ever going. Governor of Russia's Primorsky Krai, Oleg Kozymenko, announced on July 9th that Russia is forming the Tiger Volunteer Naval Infantry Battalion to participate in combat in Ukraine. Kozymenko said that not all volunteers have prior combat experience and that they will undergo 30 days of training prior to deployment. Social media users noted that footage of the Tiger Battalion shows that the recruits are older than traditional military age and are likely in their 50s to 60s. Study War has previously reported that Russian military leadership will continue to constitute such ad hoc, oblast, and regionally based volunteer units as losses among professional troops mount. Professional. Activity in Russian-occupied areas. Russian objective: consolidate administrative control of occupied areas, set conditions for potential annexation into Russian Federation or some other future political arrangement of Moscow's choosing. Nothing significant to report today in the activity in Russia-occupied regions. Just the biggest report being the ongoing infighting between the Kremlin and pro-war mill bloggers. All right, that's going on within Russia. So key takeaways for today. Key takeaways for July 10th, 2022. Russian forces are conducting a theater-wide operational pause in Ukraine and are engaging in operations to set conditions for future offensives. Russian forces conducted limited probing operations northwest of Sloviansk. Russian forces are likely intensifying artillery and missile strikes west of Bakhmut in order to isolate the city from critical ground lines of communication. Russian forces conducted a limited unsuccessful ground attack north of Donetsk city. Russian military leadership continues to form ad hoc volunteer units and private military company combat organizations partly comprised of older men and criminals to support operations ongoing in Ukraine. And that is your update here on July 10th, 2022 for day 137 of the war in Ukraine. For the latest map updates here on Mercado Media, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you are following us on Facebook, because we are also posting it to the Facebook page as well. Look for these at 2 p.m. Central Time each day after the live streams. Tune into our live streams at 8 p.m. Central, in which we go into a map update, and we watch the latest videos that are coming out of Ukraine within the last 24 hours. Thank you guys so much for your support. All right, y'all, that is the map update. Now we're going to be getting into the video section, and yeah, you can look for that. And I apologize at the start, I had audio issues. Once I start going into those, I don't really look at the chat much at all because it kind of ruins the flow of it. And if I'm reading the chat while I'm doing the updates on the map, it really just kind of throws me off, and it's hard to do that. So now we're going to be getting into the latest video clip section of the stream, and I sounded like I was editing it there. I promise I'm not. It's just to end the video portion of that, because we are editing videos out of that. Comment where you guys are watching from. Let me know what city, what state, or where in the world you are tuned in from. That mill blogger update from Ukraine is very interesting, to say the least. And I'm also interested if you watch these streams after the fact. If you ever noticed, or I don't know, most of y'all tune in while this is live. There's well over 400 to 500 that tune in, you know, on off nights, and during the weekdays it's close to 600 now. And I just get roasted in the comments from those that are pro-Russian ideologically. They're not following the updates in terms of what even the mill bloggers are putting out, because they're just trolls. They're just ideological trolls, and they don't care about the updates going on on the ground in the country, because I am reporting the Russian victories too, but they don't care about that. They only want me to parrot the ideology. They want me to be the pro ideology that's going on here, and the reasonings for what's going on in Ukraine, and the reasonings for why Russia invaded Ukraine. And that's not going to happen. You're not going to get that, right? That's what Russia wants, though. Russia wants sources for the war to be only parroting their ideologies, because they don't want losses being reported from Russia. The only place that Russia is winning in Ukraine is in the south, and the longer they hold on to these territories on the south, on the axes, they're winning in the east. They're not winning in the south, and they're not winning in the east along the border, because Ukraine's counterattacks have been proven successful. If Ukraine can't push into these territories and axes within Ukraine, if the Ukrainians can't take advantage of the operational pause by Russia and capitalize on their counterattacks, then we'll be having a different story. If Russia can regroup their soldiers and get fresh conscripts to the south and fresh conscripts to the north, and we start seeing that territory in the Kharkiv Oblast start going back towards Russia side, and start seeing the Russians take territory, or start pushing back those Ukrainian counteroffensives in the south, then it'll be a different story. And then I'll be saying, well, the Russians are winning in the south now, or the Russians are winning into the east. Overall, in general, Russia's lost their overall goal of taking the entire country. They're going to have to settle for just the Donbas at this point. They're just going to have to settle for the east, and even then they're likely not going to get further than Kramatorsk and Sloviansk, in that area, that pocket of cities in the Donbas. They're loosely holding on to some of the cities in the south with the advanced partisan warfare that has been taking place there on a daily basis. Let's get into the latest video clips coming out from Rob Lee and the Ukraine War Report on Reddit. An explosion of Russian-occupied Chusnikov in the Donetsk Oblast. So this is showing some of the Ukrainian counterattacks that have been taking place on key Russian targets in the Donbas. Okay, showing some of the artillery strikes that had taken place there. Video from Kharkiv in the Donetsk Oblast. Strikes going on in Russian-held territory. We have mods, they're there. Alright, showing some artillery strikes in Russian-held territory. Russian Ural and Cam AZ trucks with some cope armor. Got the lumber cope going on with this one. Oh, we stole armor plating for this cope with some wood pieces reinforcing the The fuel line, the fuel reservoir. Interesting. Okay, it's uneven up here. You got the one long wood log here for some cope armor. Oh, and you got some vents, some vents up here for the windows. There's a better view of it. Oh yeah, there it is. There it is. Highly effective in losing. Highly effective in getting your whoever's driving and whoever the driver and passenger is killed. Because that provides absolutely zero additional armor. Here's more. Oh, at least they're painting over some of the wood logs to blend into the color of the vehicle. Here's more from Donetsk, Russian-occupied Donetsk. Ukrainian counterattacks on some Russian-controlled areas of the city. Yeah, they saw the movie Fury and said, "Yep, that's it." Another video of the fire. Russian-occupied Donetsk. More from Russian-occupied Donetsk. 1 second video. A whole bunch. Another video from Skotarisk. No audio going on. More. Looks like munitions are on fire. This was posted This was from yesterday. I didn't provide an update yesterday, so this is 23 hours ago. But keep it within the last 24. Unless the video description or clip that we're watching indicates otherwise. 420 viewers in the chat. Let's have a safety meeting. I think we got to that during the map update, but I can't have a safety meeting during the map update. I'll get sidetracked. Likely hit an ammunition depot in Donetsk. That's a couple now in Donetsk in the past week that the Ukrainians were able to strike in Russian-held territory within Ukraine. More. Same happening, different view. Here's video of members of the volunteer Tiger Battalion undergoing training in Permov, which will deploy to Ukraine as part of the Pacific Fleet's 155th Naval Infantry Brigade. You got to realize Russia's getting reinforcements, and they're not hiding that. The 155th Naval Brigade. So what up, Emmett?
Сложно, не сложно. Получается вообще?
Получается, конечно. Ну, есть сложности, но получается. Стараемся. Есть инструктора, которые нам подсказывают.
Что для вас явилось причиной отправиться в добровольческий батальон?
Помочь ребятам, которые там воюют и гибнут.
Право-налево так точно. Лопать не забываем.
So again, these are Russian soldiers from the 155th.
Проходит учебную подготовку наш формируемый добровольческий батальон «Тигр», который будет...
That's a Tiger unit. You just heard him say, I can't speak Russian, right? I don't know, but we already read that in the report that they're making this Tiger battalion, which is named after the Tiger MRAP that they have. And here's a look at it.
Поддержку наших ребят, которые сейчас выполняют специальную
targets for Ukrainian troops.
операцию, 155-ю бригаду. Поэтому идет боевое слаживание, идет обучение стрельбы там слева.
What you puffing on? We got a $5 super chat from Just Arts and stuff. What are you puffing on there? Got that green apple strain here, some sour D labs
Что для нас, в
too.
общем-то, ново совершенно.
This is lemon.
Обучают инструктора, каждый проходит эту подготовку по нескольку раз. Это первая неделя. В целом в течение
Key lime
30
pie.
дней здесь
I have a key lime
будут
pie
отрабатываться
strain.
различные
You
боевые
guys don't know my stream over here, and this news coverage is 420 friendly over here, right?
взаимодействия. Вот, в составе отделения. Вот, далее будет огневая подготовка с применением артиллерии, ротных минометов. Для того, чтобы уже наш батальон, который формируется по региональному признаку, пришел к своим землякам
This
подготовленным.
unit definitely seems. I mean, also this could be. I mean, look how old. Do you see the age of these troops here?
Чтобы люди знали друг друга,
See the age of
понимали
these guys?
возможности каждого,
The guy interviewed. I mean, dude, help.
минометов.
I mean, no, I'm not trying to be ageist here. I love people of all ages. It doesn't matter. I'm just saying, like in your military. I mean, you know what I mean?
Тигр, который будет
You know what I mean? Like, can't have 50 to 60-year-olds in the military unless they're like a general or some desk job, which that is a thing for sure. There's definitely. I mean, we had one lower enlisted that was in his mid 50s, almost 60. And he had came back and fought. He had fought early on in his career, and he got out of the military, was a bus driver, and came back but came back later in his life and was joined when he was like 35 again and stayed in forever, whatever. But look at the age here of this Tiger Battalion, a specialized new unit from the 155th.
155-ю бригаду. Поэтому идет боевое слаживание, идет обучение стрельбы там с левого плеча, что для нас, в общем-то, ново совершенно. Вот, обучают инструктора, каждый проходит эту подготовку по нескольку раз. Это первая неделя. В целом в течение 30 дней здесь будут отрабатываться различные боевые взаимодействия. Вот, в составе отделения. Вот, далее будет огневая подготовка с
Sleeping Tigers. Come up with a nickname for the
ротных минометов для того, чтобы уже наш батальон.
They weren't kidding. The report was accurate. The report from the.
По региональному
They're
признаку.
old. They're older.
Пришел к своим землякам подготовленным, чтобы люди знали друг друга, понимали.
They're older, 50s and 60s for sure.
Возможности каждого.
A lot of the conscripts we've been seeing older.
Логические, психологические, вот, то есть и поддерживали друг друга там в районе боевых действий.
All right, let's continue. Oh, here's more. Certainly they won't be the youngest. Come on, Rob. Come on, Rob. There's a photo. Man, do they like that's the look of whatever confidence is, whatever a photo of confidence is, this is the opposite of confidence here. I don't think I can look into a single one of any of those guys' eyes and say, "Yep, that's a confident troop right there." Man, look of regret in most of them. The look of regret in most of them. Dude. A camouflaged Russian T-80 BV tank. Wow. Yeah, they really went. This looks like when you're in basic training and you're like, "Hey, drill sergeant, come look at my fighting position." And then you gotta destroy it afterwards. You put all that work into making a nice high-speed fighting position, and then you just gotta tear it up afterwards. Probably similar for Ukrainian artillery here. And not a single one of listen, do you know what hasn't worked for Russia? Fighting positions. They haven't worked for them at all. So as much as this tank here is all decorated, all nice, it's got look at it, where they got marijuana leaf camo netting on that. What is that camo netting? Got some indica camo netting going on there. And some flowers. Yeah, that's not gonna last long. And especially that it's like in the open. I'm noticing that it's in an open space. Like it's not actually in like some thick tree line, right? It's not like inside of this tree line here, which would be more effective instead of like out in this open where there's like flat area, like the flat mud right here. It's like out of the tree line. That's silly. Probably for an Instagram post or something. Not for success. That's gonna be in the sight of a Ukrainian Bayraktar drone. More photo of the Russian volunteer Tiger Battalion. Dude. Oh my god, dude. No, man. The Tiger Battalion. Russian LDNR T-62M tanks with improvised armor and a roof screen. The Tiger Bomb Battalion. There you go. Oh my goodness. The Kremlin has no. The Kremlin's reach has no restrictions. They're even recruiting out of the nursing homes, man. I mean, that's some shit. You can't even retire in Russia. Retirement in Russia? Hell nah. Get your ass on the front line. Luhansk, video of Russian Toka-U short-range ballistic missile tells reportedly in the Lugansk Oblast with V markers. Gary says, I'm 48. I'd be the young one on that crew. Hell nah. Imagine being 48 and being the youngest. You'd be doing all the tasks. You'd be sent to do everything. Being 48, damn. You reach that age in the U.S. Army, if you're in the military at that age, you ain't doing shit. You ain't doing anything. Why? Why would you? There's plenty of 17 to 19-year-olds that can do it. We have plenty in the U.S. military, 17 to 19-year-olds. That's wild. The Tiger Bomb Battalion. So you got the TikTok army, the Tiger Bomb Battalion, conscripts, video of Russian Vickr 1 ATGM strike presumably launched by a KA-52. And then this looks like this looks like Warhawk from PlayStation 1. Gameplay from Warhawk. I don't even know where they got this from, why it's like this. And I swear I've seen video that looks very similar to this. I swear, like listen, a lot of the video, like we've gone through 137 days straight and many hours and hours and hours of video at this point. So when I see something that looks familiar, like it kind of sticks out because I've seen things before. And this specific clip right here, I swear to God, Russia has used so many times, like just this part right here. Like, where is that? And then it just goes and clips to the next one. I swear I've seen this specific line of footage right here, this little 1 second clip right here, in so many of Russia's videos. The icy hots. Here come the icy hots. Oh God, I can't. We need one more time, dude. One more time on that. I can't believe this.
Я доброволец.
The Tiger Bomb Battalion.
Получается, конечно. Ну, есть сложности, но
Oh my God.
стараемся. Есть инструктора, которые нам подсказывают.
Что для вас явилось причиной отправиться в добровольческий батальон?
Помочь ребятам, которые там воюют и гибнут.
Право-налево так точно. Вот это не забываем.
Проходит учебную подготовку наш формируемый добровольческий батальон.
I want to see him do some drills. Like, when does that happen?
Тигр, который
I want to see the Russian drill where they egress out of the moving vehicle and do a combat roll after. I want to see that one. That specific drill that Russia does.
будет.
I want to see that and see how that goes. Oh Jesus, dude. I don't think Jesus could do anything with this one. This is the youngest trooper right here on the right. This is the youngest trooper. Fuck. He's got to put the whole unit on his back, literally. No, he's going to have to do that. He's going to have to drag them all out, like, physically. This guy right here is the youngest trooper on the right. My God.
Сейчас выполняет специальную войсковую операцию, 155-ю бригаду.
Welcome, Jared.
Идет боевое слаживание, идет обучение стрельбы там с левого плеча.
Level 3 subscription. Thank you so much, Jared.
Для нас, в общем-то, ново совершенно.
Or level 3 membership.
Обучает
Let's go.
Каждый проходит эту подготовку по нескольку раз. Это первая неделя. В целом, в течение
Oh my goodness. There's their commander.
30 дней здесь будут отрабатываться различные боевые взаимодействия в составе отделения. Далее будет огневая подготовка с применением артиллерии.
Looks like he was a conscript for the Soviet Union in World War II.
Уже наш батальон, который формируется по региональному признаку, пришел к своим землякам подготовленным, чтобы люди знали друг друга, понимали возможности каждого, физиологические, психологические, то есть и поддерживали друг друга там в районе боевых действий.
They have to know that this is going to get roasted. They have to know that this is going to get flamed online, like from their real bloggers too. They don't have any. Russia legitimately has rockets and nukes, and that is it. And they have people to push buttons and do basic things. Soldiering and operations, no, 100% no. If this was like, and that's why it's scary to think of like a actual force like a NATO country going against Russia, because it would turn into bigger than ground battles, because Russia can't hang on ground battles at all. Russia has no soldiering at all, zero, none. We're done this video, sorry. No capability for ground forces whatsoever. They gotta borrow and buy soldiers in their private military units. Scooter, keep on keeping on. Thank you so much. What we're looking at here is Russian multiple launch rocket strikes in Sloviansk. If you guys can find that clip with translations, send it to our Discord server. The Discord server link is in the description of the video. If you can find a translation of that Tiger Bomb Battalion, and we'll see what he was saying. The AARP patrol. The AAR patrol. The AARP squad. That's like when what's that, Watch Dogs came out, the London Watch Dogs, and everybody made a unit of all elderly. Video of BM-21 Grad multiple launch rocket system strikes by Ukraine's 92nd Mechanized Brigade that targeted a Russian tank, an MTLB, and a CAM AZ truck. So you got Ukrainian artillery strike on Russian vehicles here in this clip. Apologize for the music. Wonder if the units found a common editor for multiple, because they're including the watermarks for a lot of the units now on the videos. So whoever's running the social media for these Ukraine units, probably consolidating. I don't trust the audio, it sounds copyright. There's the Cam AZ truck. Russian ammunition depots are right there. That was an ammunition depot at the end that was hit. Big time. Yep. Video of the Russian T-90, the T-90 Sherman, and another 2 tanks lost, as well as the MTLB in the Izium area from Ukraine's 93rd Mechanized. Oh, that's not how a tank should be. Hard to fight when your tank's upside down. Second part of the video. Is that the first part? Alright, what's the second part? Now they get blown up. Yep, second part. They get blown up. That T-90 Panzer tank that Russia has. That tank is supposed to be what is if operated by operators that know what they're doing and know how to operate the piece of equipment. Russia's literally throwing conscripts into their equipment as well. They have like a couple days to learn how to operate the tank or whatever equipment, and then they gotta get out there. Another video from the scene. Oh, we got a multiple video here. Oh, same thing. So same area from the tanks that was on its back and blown up. And now here is another video from the same scene.
Я, блядь, тако нахуй, блядь. Ну было у меня, блядь, но такого нахуй я еще не бачив.
Ти просто з нами не їздив, поняв?
Я ебу.
Все, можно не возражать, охуевший.
Та воно, 3, ебать, один на одном.
Бачиш, там шляпа лаза дивиться.
Ебать, ви не думаєте, їм пізда.
Ебать, я думаю, что они ебануты. Давай, братан, шо ты?
Біжить,
Куда? Ага,
Туди
шо?
срочно на прильот.
Oh, there's the upside down tank. Oh, actually, it's the MTLB that's upside down. The MTLB is upside down.
Щас.
Крот,
I can see the angle on the front. They got like that sharp angle on it.
Сука, ну где вы есть, когда вы так надо, нахуй.
So they're watching the soldiers run around and everything right now. You can see the Russian soldiers running around. The Ukrainians are on the comms right now.
Ёбані бігають, сука.
Это, блядь, это что-то с чем-то.
All the things that are running around here are Russian troops.
Та ви заебете, нахуй.
Тушить.
Шо там, туда будет работать прием?
Надо срочно.
Надо, бігають.
Бо надо срочно, там як миші бігають вокруг тих танків застрявших, блядь.
Это мог.
Возле Альфа.
Я сейчас на Хьюстоне перемещусь до тебе.
Прийняв.
That was it. Is there more? Sounds like they were having a laugh. Orlan 10 UAV footage. of Russian multiple launch rocket systems and artillery strikes in Mykolaiv. So, wow, what is that? Okay, and they put music to it. This is not content you put music to. Looks like we're looking at a swamp. We just jumped around into like 3 different locations in rapid fire, but okay. These 3 places aren't anywhere close to each other. Is it just a compilation? That was a hit. Still hard to even see what that was. In the Mykolaiv Oblast. Ooh. It's from the end of May. It's an old video. Older video. This last one. It looked familiar. Artillery strike in Mykolaiv. That happened on May 30th. That's older. Yeah, that last video isn't... Yeah, that's old. May 30th. Video of Ukrainian UAV dropping ammunition on a Russian position. Music. Loitering. Oh, wow. They dropped it right in the grate. See, that's what I had touched on this. I had touched on this a day or two ago. These loitering munitions they're not going to cause a huge area of devastation. Like they're not going to, you know what I mean, blow up or blow up a big area target or whatever, but they'll pack enough of a punch or do something like that where they can drop it in like a small space. They dropped it between those grates on top of that position and likely took out or at least severely injured all of anyone that was under there in that area. Or they can specifically target crucial points on a vehicle and disable the vehicle at least, so that way their ground forces in the area can get close to it and take it out with a anti-tank guided missile. But these loitering drones are, dude, these loitering munitions have been highly effective in just these type of strikes, small area strikes. Lynette, $2 super chat, thank you. Video of Afghan Ukrainian Mi-17 V5-1 helicopters. So Afghan Ukrainian Mi-17 V5-1 helicopters. Video of a Russian anti-tank guided missile strike. Again, this is a Russian video. Russian anti-tank guided missile. Wow. All right, next. Russian Pantsir S-1 air defense system in the Donbas. A Pantsir air defense system, Russian. Got the Z on it. Here you got video showing captured and destroyed Russian Rise vehicles and 3 BMP-2s in the Kherson Oblast.
Вилетів на Київ, але зупинився десь на півдорозі з Херсона, не доїхав.
що вам сказати? Я думаю, що така доля чекатиме на всі інші московські машини, на московитів. Нікуди вони не доїдуть.
Буде дуже швидко звідси тікати. От ці, бачите, тікали, кидали машини. Знову все повторюється, як завжди. Як це було під Києвом, як було на інших напрямках. Вони тікають в паніці.
Б'ють свої машини, залишають бронетехніку і потім розповідають про те, що вони зробили черговий жест доброї волі. Ну, дуже скоро вони зроблять черговий жест доброї волі і звільнять Москву від себе. Ми їх там зустрінемо, і на цьому закінчиться наша війна. Слава Україні!
All right. So again, that was showing captured Russian rice vehicles and 3 BMP-2s in Kherson. Here's a video from Ukraine's 59th Motorized Brigade of artillery strikes reportedly on Russian artillery positions. So you got Ukraine artillery strikes on Russian artillery positions. Sounded kind of like a No Man's Sky beat at the end there. Sounds like something on a No Man's Sky. Video of Ukrainian Buk M1 engaging an aerial target. 420 viewers in the chat. Spark one up. 420 viewers. The aftermath of artillery strikes by Ukraine's 40th Artillery Brigade. Ukraine's 40th. Got me there. Alright, one thing Ukraine's doing, since I gotta be honest, they're clipping this into their artillery videos now. So this is getting clipped into their happenings. So this isn't likely from this strike, but this specific howitzer little clip is getting inserted in. Do they use it again? No, I've seen it before already in other clips though. I don't know if they're using it as placeholder to just represent like it came from an artillery strike or what. Okay, Ukraine video. Here you got video of a paratrooper from the VDV's 11th Air Assault Brigade launching a Kornet anti-tank guided missile in the Kherson Oblast. It doesn't look recent. Skip. Russian Su-25 attack aircraft in the Soledar direction. Russian Su attack aircraft. Some floofy boys at the end. Here you got Russia is displaying a variety of captured Ukrainian military equipment in an exhibit at its Park Patriot outside of Moscow. Keep in mind, Ukraine, well, they have Russian vehicles littered all over their country, like destroyed. But Ukraine in Kyiv has a display of Russian vehicles, but they all have destroyed or have deficiencies with them, or like you can clearly tell that, yep, that's been in combat. That piece of equipment's seen some combat. It's seen some shit. It says a V on it. How is that How is that a Ukrainian vehicle? It's got a V on it. Excuse me. I want to sweep the V off the back of there. We can see it. Hey, easel cat, and you're not a cat. So here we are. You know what's so wild too, though, is I bet you simple Russian everyday people probably have no idea that this V would mean that it's actually a Russian vehicle. Wild. Wow. So, a variety of captured Ukrainian military equipment, apparently. Captured Ukrainian military equipment. Video of artillery strike by Ukraine's 37th Separate Motorized Infantry Battalion. So, artillery strikes on Russian positions by Ukraine's 37th. Sounds copyrighted. Sounds old, though. We'll leave it here, see what happens. Seems like Russia captured its own equipment. They should capture more of their own equipment and get it out of Ukraine. JB Mel 63 just subscribed, thank you. Okay, I'm muting because that was not pleasant to the ears. Whatever song that was. So again, Ukraine artillery strikes on Russian positions. Fires are probably extra big from all the Russian stockpile of vodka and their parties in the residential areas. Need more vodka. Need more vodka. And that's it. Ukraine War Report on Reddit. Let's see what we missed. A pair of Ukrainian Su-25s meet ground troops. Oh, excuse me. A pair of Su-25s greet ground troops. Okay, they're greeting them. All right. Ukrainian Marines are learning to use Mastiff armored vehicles donated by the United Kingdom. New vehicle. Some Mastiffs? A high quality edited video. Oh shit. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, especially when this is so clearly like an advertisement video, like when it's like a, oh, that guy's oh, Canada, oh, Canada. So when it's so clearly like a video, you know what I mean, and like simulating a battle scene. This guy's got his hat on backwards. Dope video though. Video was sick. I'm gonna lie, it makes me want to hop in a Mastiff right now and go fight for Ukraine immediately. Put me in a Mastiff. Send me. The Mastiff was built in 2017, and oh, that's not the Mastiff I was looking for. Mastiff UK armored vehicle. It's a nice Mastiff though. Oh god, Crux hates us. Nope, Crux hates anything. Big vehicles changing. Looks like a big RG-33, or like a big Cayman.
On
name's Cole.
Here it is in Afghanistan. I guess that's probably a good place to see an update from what the thing does. This is where it was used last.
My name's Corporal Harley Upham. I'm from the 2nd World Tank Regiment based in Tidworth in the UK. We're usually an armoured regiment on challenges, but we've swapped it now for the Mastiff, which is an armoured personnel carrier.
Sick poster.
And it's not a tank though, is it?
No, it's not a tank, this has got wheels. And when we first come out here, we thought we'd be restricted to road use. However, we pushed the boundaries, and now we're doing...
I gotta put subtitles on.
We're out in the desert all the time, and the Taliban really fear us.
Yeah, that's interesting. Can you show me around?
Yeah, sure. You wanna come in? We'll see it's a 3-man crew.
Yeah.
You've got the driver station at the front, and the gunner station, the commander station, and the gunner stands at the top. But what we do is a lot of the time we command from the turret. It's just easier to get much more situational awareness from commanding from the top. Yeah. As I said before, and like normally we have a track vehicle. Yeah. It's wheeled. Because of the height of it sits off the ground, when we do hit IEDs, basically usually it just picks it up and places it back down. And we've been very fortunate. As you can see, it's very heavily armoured.
Also, what he didn't mention is these vehicles or these types, these MRAPs, because the US has them too, is they have a V-shaped hull underneath. So not only are the tires provided higher elevation off the ground, it has a V-shape underneath, so that way when vehicles hit an IED, like in Afghanistan and Iraq, when you'd hit an IED, the explosion would go outward, like it would blow out instead of blowing up and killing your entire vehicle crew. It would try to preserve life as much as you can.
And the windscreen's extra thick.
I was at 88 Mike. I drove these shits in the military. This is what my job was.
See, about 3 days ago we hit a mine, and the only damage is a slight blackness underneath the front wheel arch, taking a bullet to the windscreen, or two actually. And at the time we didn't even realise it happened. As I was saying about these vehicles, 2 days ago we hit a mine, and yesterday the vehicle behind us hit a mine. We were driving down a steep embankment towards a clump of trees, and as we come down we hit a very large IED. It hit the whole front of the vehicle up and dropped it down. We bounced. An RPG team shot in front of us, and luckily we had time to pull out and escape. I mean, this is probably about the safest vehicle I've ever been in.
And that's good that Ukraine has it. It's got all that reactive armor, along the side. So if they're learning how to use that, learn how to operate that thing, it's more of like an up-armored Casevac vehicle, if anything. Or like get your guys out of that area fast as possible and have, or use it as a Casevac vehicle. Ukrainian tank destroys a Russian BMP-3 in close proximity, Chernihiv Oblast. From April 1st? No, that's old. Ukrainian Mi-29 vignettes are covering our troops from the air. Okay, Ukrainian MiG-29s. Good morning. Good morning from the Ukrainian army.
Сьогодні прийняли бій з танчиком. Хлам.
Okay, compilation of their fighter jet pilot. Okay. Compilation video. We got President Zelensky's update. Ukrainian artillery in action. See what this is about. See some of the artillery units in action. That's the big boy. That's the 2S1 Pion. That's a big boy. Big one. All right. Ukraine's long-range anti-material rifle, the Snipex Alligator 14.5 by 144 millimeter caliber. Damn. Okay, wow, my bad. Wow. Anyone ever fire a long gun like that? Ukraine pronounces it peon. Peon the orcs. Close call for Ukrainian defenders under explosions. Wow, that was close. Oh my goodness. That was very close. Went right over their head. See if I can get the... Let me hear the audio of it. Dang. Wow. That was close. Sheesh, dude. And that's the Ukrainian defenders. Close call. Invincible Ukrainian soldiers. Let me see. It's in a M777. Okay. Ukrainian artillery crews in action. Seen after Russia's shelling, at least 30 people, including young children, are under the rubble in Chasiv Yar. Hard to see this video. See, it's very pixelated. From June, Kadrovites in Lysychansk. So here's the TikTok army. This is the Kadrovites. That right now they're north of Seversk. Blind firing champions, dude. Why aim when you can blind fire? Kadrovites. That's a direct quote. What are they shooting at? I think they honestly just pick like a spot, and then all of whatever they got for that day is just expended on that one spot. Why aim, dude? We don't need to do that. Why aim? Long range Ukraine Stugna anti-tank missile strike on Russian armor in the Kherson Oblast. Peas in the chat. Long range. Lynette, there's only 31 of y'all on Facebook. There is 420 to 440 on YouTube at the same time. So, oh wow. Huge explosion in Russia in the city of Kuzanovoto in the Ulyanovsk region. Wow. Holy. How do they hide that? What the... How does Russia hide this? Goodness, that's a big strike. Or a big explosion. I don't know if that was a strike. It's a hot summer. A hot... Fuck, dude. Reddit's funny sometimes. A hot orc summer. Jesus. Reddit, dude. Fields and crops are burning in the Zaporizhia region, in Zaporizhia, Melitopol, and Piazovsky district. In Melitopol region, wheat is on fire. Also in Zaporizhia region, the constant shelling of the villages in Poltava, Malinovka, and Ust-Nogova, and others. Earlier, it was reported that the Russian okay, and it ends there. So these are crops in Zaporizhia that are burning. Resources getting burned. Let's get the location on that. Someone asked where exactly. In the city of Kuzanovo. Let's look that up, huh? Kuzovotovo. Kuzovotovo. I think I'm close. Gotta be. Let's look that up really quick. In the Ulanovsk Oblast in Russia. So here's where that fire was. Wow, where's that? Well, way southeast of Moscow. It'd be to the west of Tolyatti and southwest of Ulanovsk, which is the biggest city. Next to the Volga River, or near the Volga River. That's really far. Here's Ukraine. This is the border with Ukraine. Let's use red for that just so it's really visible. Here's the border, right, with Ukraine. It's a long distance from Ukraine to where it happened. And just to be like if Ukraine did it or not. There's Moscow. That is quite a distance from Ukraine. I don't think that has anything to do with Ukraine, or at least Ukrainian military. Who knows? There's been happenings going on all in Russia. Could be using it for provocations, saying Ukraine did this, despite it being far as hell. And Ukraine, actually, you know what I mean? That's the border, but then that's not even counting. This is the Donbas. So like what? Like there's Kharkiv. So let's go like this is like all Russian right here. Right? All this shit is Russian. So that's even further back, really. This is all Russian controlled within Ukraine. And here they have no capability. And then even further in the Ukrainian held cities on the east, they don't even have the capabilities to reach that far. Like what they got a couple of cities in here, the Ukrainian cities, and they're fighting with the Russian advances here. Here's Kyiv. Ain't no way. Ain't no way this was Ukraine. Could be resistance in Russia. There's been lots of Molotov cocktail bombings of conscription centers in Russia. What do we got here? Let's get the update from President Zelenskyy to close out. And then also, hey, I talked about it a little earlier in the stream. If you guys have been watching, if you've been tuned in all night, but if you want more content, I'm live on Snack Squad TV. I told Snack Squad TV earlier I was going to stream Fall Guys, but we need to finish up Metal Gear, all right? Because a game comes out on my birthday in 9 days, and I'm going to start streaming that. So Metal Gear Solid 2, final chapter starts tonight. Metal Gear Solid 4, which I already referenced, which talks about private military companies. If you want like an entertainment, it's not entertainment, but if you want like a video game that talks about that subject on private military companies and the future of that and what that could look like for the world, this game tackles that topic, and nuclear deterrence. So this is why I'm streaming this gaming franchise. It's not a new franchise at all. It's been out for a long time. But it's why I'm streaming it, because the topics and discussions in this video game and this series are relatable to what's going on in the current days. At least it's still a tactical espionage action game. Like it's fun, it's entertainment, but it's still like grounded in reality and what's going on in the world. And this game came out in 2001, and some of the topics that it discusses, like it talks about memes and everything in this game. There's memes and shit, and this game came out in 2001. So come on over to Snack Squad TV after this live stream is over, or hang out in the live chat and I'll redirect you right to the live chat of this channel, so you don't have to do any work. Just sit in the chat. And if you're watching this live stream after the fact, thank you for making it to the end of the video. And also go to Snack Squad TV if you want more gaming, vlog content, or just general discussions. Like earlier today, for example, I was streaming Fortune's Keep, Call of Duty, and we talked about the Ukraine war, politics in the United States, and then just a weekend summary. Like I was streaming Warzone, and we were just having a constructive conversation while I was playing video games, and we can definitely continue to have that. So if you have any questions for me, or if you have anything you'd like to discuss, I really want to keep the content here on my news platform as just that, as the news platform. And I forgot. Don't go anywhere. I got Zelensky's update. Well, we got to hear Zelensky's update. Almost forgot, but I want to keep the news content on this channel as just the news content, and then more like dialogue discussions, like my opinion, then like hanging out. We would do that on Snack Squad TV. Okay. Before we go, thank you for hanging around and didn't leave. I almost forgot. We need the President Zelensky's update for the day. That's from the 9th of July. Let's get President Zelensky's update here for the 10th of July before I go. And then we'll be going to Snack Squad TV after this live feed. So don't go anywhere. Let's get the update from President Zelensky quick, and then I'll say goodbye.
Всі наші захисники і захисниці сьогодні увесь день отримують звіти з міста Часів Яр на Донеччині. Там продовжується рятувальна операція після російського удару по житлових будинках. Зруйновані 2 багатоповерхівки. Під завалами десятки людей, 6 вдалося врятувати. У списку загиблих 15 прізвищ, і, на жаль, це не остаточне число. Це був ракетний удар. І кожен, хто віддає накази на такі удари, кожен, хто їх здійснює по звичайним нашим містам, по житловим районам, вбиває абсолютно усвідомлено. Після таких ударів вбивці не зможуть сказати, що чогось не знали або щось не розуміли. Усі, хто здійснив цей обстріл, інші ракетні удари, усі, хто б'є по наших містах з реактивної артилерії, як на Харківщині, на Запоріжжі, як по Кривому Рогу, як по Сіверську і Вугледару, на Донеччині, усі вони будуть знайдені. Знаєте, нацистських вбивць знаходять і судять навіть тоді, коли їм вже виповнилось по 90 чи 100 років. Їх ловлять по всьому світу. Звісно, ми не хочемо чекати так довго, але я наводжу цей приклад, щоб показати, що покарання невідворотні для кожного російського вбивці, для кожного абсолютно. Так само, як і для нацистів. І хай вони не сподіваються, що їхня держава буде їх захищати. Росія першою ж їх кине, коли зміняться політичні обставини. Від початку цього вторгнення українські правоохоронці роблять все, що необхідно для фіксації злочинів окупантів і для збору доказів. До цієї роботи залучені наші партнери з багатьох держав. Російський терор давно перетнув ту межу, за якою багатьом в цивілізованому світі стало очевидно, що це питання глобальної безпеки. Покарати Росію, державу-терориста, за все зроблено нею проти України і міжнародного правопорядку. І моєму графіку на найближчі тижні саме такі переговори і звернення, які сприятимуть відновленню справедливості, сприятимуть покаранню російських воєнних злочинців. Причому ця активність направлена не тільки на Європу та інші традиційні регіони для роботи української дипломатії. Зробимо все, щоб і в Латинській Америці, і в Азії, і в Африці чули правду про російський терор на нашій землі. На тижні, що минає, багато говорили про нібито оперативну паузу в діях окупантів на Донбасі та в інших частинах України. 34 нальоти російської авіації за одну минулу добу – це відповідь усім тим, хто придумав цю паузу. Українська армія тримається міцно, відбиває штурми на різних напрямках, але, звичайно, потрібно зробити ще дуже багато, щоб російські втрати стали такими, після яких дійсно буде пауза. Причому пауза не перед новими наступами окупантів, а перед їх втечею з нашої української рідної землі. Я вдячний усім нашим бійцям, які забезпечують наближення цього часу. Це так само невідворотне, як і покарання для окупантів, але треба триматись Треба битись разом на всіх фронтах зараз. І на політичному, і на інформаційному, і на економічному, ніде не проявляючи слабкості. В цій війні ми можемо вистояти тільки спільно, абсолютно всі, кожен українець, кожна українка. Слава усім, хто захищає нашу рідну державу. Слава Україні!
So President Zelenskyy sounded a little more direct today, talking about missile strike in the Shaziv Yar in the Donetsk region. Everyone who gives orders for such strikes, everyone who carries them out, targeting ordinary cities, residential areas, kills absolutely deliberately. He touched on the operational pause from Russia and saying that the Russians have a goal of advancing the military, but Zelenskyy said that the Ukrainians will actually drive them out of the Donbas and rid them from their country. All right, right now, again, if you haven't been tuned in lately, or if this is your first stream in a while, the Russians are in an operational pause at this time. All right, they're in an operational pause. The Russian forces are conducting a theater-wide operational pause in Ukraine and are engaging in operations to set conditions for future offensives right now. And Ukraine could be using this time to bolster their artillery and get more equipment to the east to stop this, or to advance their counterattacks in the south and into the north in the Kharkiv. They need more HIMARS systems. Russian forces conducted limited probing operations northwest of Sloviansk. Russian forces are likely intensifying artillery and missile strikes west of Bakhmut in order to isolate the city from critical ground lines of communication. Russian forces conducted a limited and unsuccessful ground attack north of Donetsk city, and Russian military leadership continues to form ad hoc volunteer units like the Tiger Balm Battalion and private military combat organizations early comprised of older men and war criminals, and just criminals, soon to be war criminals, to support operations within Ukraine. And that is your update. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel so you guys get all updates here from Mercado Media. I'm your host, Dana Mercado, independent journalist, U.S. Army veteran. Hope to see you guys on the next one. Shout out to all of our members. Shout out to all of our supporters. Consider becoming a member of the YouTube channel. Consider becoming a supporter of the Facebook page. Go subscribe to the Snack Squad TV YouTube channel for more content and more entertainment style streams. Consider becoming a patron on the Patreon. These are all ways to just support me and continue doing the work that I do here as an independent journalist. See you guys tomorrow. Have a wonderful night. Take care. God bless.